Welcome to Geneseo Today. News and insight on issues in and around Geneseo.
Welcome to Geneseo Today, the show where we talk about anything and everything Geneseo. I'm your host, Carolyn, and today I am joined by Laura Evans, SUNY Geneseo's Campus Community Resource Nurse. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm all right. Thank you for asking.
Beautiful.
Can we just start by having you tell us a little bit about your role as a college nurse and your special position of being the CCRN and what led you to this profession?
So I am going to go back a little bit and just say I am a registered nurse with a bachelor's degree. I was first gen, transfer, low income, which kind of, from my perspective, helps me support the groups that I am supporting under the Campus Community Resource Nurse, shortened up CCRN. The position was actually created in 2016 under previous administration, and I had an office over in Sturgis. We all know that Sturgis cannot be accessed right now, so I am currently living in Onondaga, Res Hall. So I have actually been a nurse for 28 years, but I have been at SUNY Geneseo for 16 years. And the reason that we created this role was we're being a little more proactive, thinking of retention, recruitment, health promotion, and helping some of the areas that needed a little more support. And the original focus was AOP, international, study abroad, exchange, but I also did support a lot of chronic routine injection, prescription, infusion people, as well as just general immunization. I have always worked with all SUNY Geneseo, the general population, but just little more specified area with those groups. More currently, I have finally been able to add on military and veteran transfers and first gen, which I'm very proud of.
So you described your role as supporting underrepresented communities and people in college that may be a minority group. What does your role as Campus Community Resource Nurse entail?
I guess the basic premise behind it, again, was to be a little more proactive, looking at retention, focusing on education, health promotion, supporting those people that, especially from an international exchange perspective, that had no concept of our health system in the United States. Typically, it is extremely different from other places, even Canada. They're very close, so people think they're similar, but they are a different area. So it's really just, it's supporting in so many different ways. When I first started, I would have people come in and just say they had no idea where to go, what to do, which direction do I go. And I literally feel I practice holistically, meaning it's your body, it's your mind, it's your emotions, it's your spirituality. It literally all can impact your well-being. And that's where everything comes from my perspective is, hey, if I'm drawing your blood, I'm also going to be talking, hey, have you got a resume going? Have you talked to career design about, potential job or an internship? It's about every part of you, supporting your academics, supporting you and your family if you have something going on. So I think I bring that with me and am looking at, I guess, just in general, being supportive and educate. Nurses are modified teachers.
You mentioned how every part of a person, their spirituality, their mental state, what they're doing in college, their personal life, and then their physical health impacts them and how does the mental health of students, how do mental health issues such as stress, anxiety, and depression impact the overall health of students, and how does the clinic and the health services at Geneseo support students in this area?
Bottom line, people often hear me say that your brain or, your mental status, it's not out there just floating around. It's actually inside that body. It definitely impacts your overall well-being. If you are stressed out, if you have depression, if you have some kind of behavioral health issue going on, it definitely can show up in a physical way. You could have a rash, you could have chest pain, you could have headaches. There are just again, looking a little more holistically and trying to determine what the origin is of the issue. And the thing about the student health and counseling department is we are a joint department and we can refer back and forth very easily, which is part of our goal. We actually are certified as a medical home, which basically means that we're your primary care doctor's office away from home. So we like to encourage people to come use us. The other part of that is everyone has paid, all the students have paid a health service fee. So when you come in, it doesn't matter if you're seeing myself, one of the other nurses, doctor, counselor, no copay. You come in, you get seen, you get taken care of.
Mm-hmm. So the accessibility is probably a reason why students, especially with their mental health, come and get care. Because previously, maybe they would not have had access to it. Maybe they didn't come from a family that believed in, stuff like that. So I think that's great.
That actually is even more so with the international exchange students. A lot of the other countries don't really believe in mental health. And we do have a number of them that come in and seek that assistance and usually end up flourishing a little bit more because they've had that support.
Going off of that, how does your office help educate students about staying healthy, both physically and mentally?
I have actually had the opportunity to go to some incoming orientations for the international and exchange students. I also work closely with the Study Abroad and International Office. Part of that includes working with them with their health insurance, because whether they're international or there are students going abroad, it's a SUNY requirement to have a specific policy, and it covers everything. It is because if something happens, like COVID, for example, is we needed to go in and collect those people and bring them back home. And part of the health insurance is that repatriation of to actually go in and bring them back. And it helps cover the, all the costs of that.
Well, that lines up perfectly for my next question. So what resources are available to students who may not have health insurance or access to healthcare outside of the college?
That's where I, from day one, even before the CCRN role, have encouraged people come to the health center because you don't have that extra fee. One of my just basic but easiest examples, I think, to visualize is if you think you have strep, you can come make an appointment. We can do an in-house test. If it comes positive, you can see one of our providers and they can give you antibiotics, where that's even better than if you were at home, because if you're at home at your primary, they'd see you, they diagnose you, but they'd send you out to get the medication, and that'd be another fee. Mm-hmm. So it's all kind of encompassed into that one area.
Let's take a turn from focusing on the health insurance side of things and the accessibility that is provided by our health services and kind of focus on promotion initiatives. What health promotions and initiatives have been particularly impactful to the campus in recent years?
So, in my opinion, prior to COVID, I felt like we had more options and I felt like we had some better outcomes because there was a lot more face-to-face connection. And I feel like that's diminished a little bit. But outreaches, fairs, it's actually difficult as well because we are trying to focus on mental health, and part of the mental health focus is to decrease or in some cases eliminate social media for some people. And if that's what has been presented, for example, when I first started this, I had a student that created an Instagram account for the CCRN office. And it's hard to utilize that, even though I'm sending things out that may be educational or supportive, if students aren't necessarily on the social media. So it's hard to find the fine line. What's the best way? So there's not any actual research that I'm aware of to determine the best practice as far as connection or getting the information to the students other than showing up in front of them. Mm-hmm. Not for anything, but being invited here, hopefully students will listen and, hear and know that there's resources and just have the encourage your peers to reach out.
So just kind of a side question going off of that. I just want some clarification on eliminating or limiting social media. You mean that in the sense that social media can be harmful to one's mental health?
I just want to back up. I am a registered nurse. I'm not a counselor. I just like to put that out there because sometimes people can get confused. But generally with mental health, some people are finding it more detrimental to their mental health status if the more social media they look at. The other perspective is just because it's out there on social media doesn't mean it's a legitimate site or information or source. One of the terms that has become apparent to me recently is doom scrolling. And that is really in support of that, at least limiting the social media, because that's just adding to someone's problem or not allowing them to move forward and heal.
If you're just tuning in now, this is Geneseo Today, and I'm joined by Laura Evans, the Campus Community Resource Nurse at SUNY Geneseo. We talked about promotion initiatives, healthcare resources, and what we can do for students. You mentioned that COVID kind of really took a hit to visibility and all of our promotion initiatives that were being done by the healthcare services here on campus. So what kind of future goals does the health services office have?
I have to say that I can't speak for administration because I'm not in that management team level. But I do know, like, for example, there has always been, we have a health promotion educator who is Dana Minton. If people haven't met her, she oversees our health guards who are peer educators, and that is a huge health promotion. They do a significant amount of, just general getting out there, being around, doing some kind of event. And I'm certain that that's going to continue. But there are other things. Personally, my goals are pretty similar to what they were when the CCRN started back in 2016. Probably more so because I feel like we fell backwards with COVID. We used to be able to be out there and be more visible and, go to where the students are. And I feel like we have to rebuild that now. I feel we need to be more proactive. And that's something I am a part of American College Health Association, which literally is private schools, state schools from all over America. And that is one thing that they have cited and done some research on, is that colleges, universities are behind on being proactive, unlike like general, more adult and or pediatric, private care. So that's one thing I definitely would like to look at, supporting any and all students, educating about prevention, self-care, self-advocacy, and educating about misinformation. That seems to be, again, kind of a little more probably social media related, but it's out there in general. And I guess I just like to remind about that, my holistic well-being health perspective. It's not just about your mental health. Your brain is inside your body, which everything's going to trickle down at some point. My goals are to continue supporting the people that need the assistance, and that includes all students, not just the specialized groups, and knowing that you can take care of yourself. I want helping people to adjust to what they will be getting into once they leave college and get into more of an adult role. And I know some people don't like saying real world, but I'm not sure what else to call it. I'm not sure if there's another way to say it. In general, we at the Student Health and Counseling Department want to be here, be supportive, and make sure people know that we're here and want to do that for them.
You work closely with other campus services from what I'm understanding. I mean, the health services is both the actual physical health side of it with, your doctors and your nurses, and then the counseling department with your therapy are intertwined. So how do you collaborate with departments like counseling and maybe student affairs or academic advising to ensure that students have a holistic support system?
I think a lot of that is in the works moving outside the student health and counseling department. There have been a lot of administrative changes even within our department, so things have changed. And again, unfortunately, I can't speak to that because I'm not certain what their goals or perspective on moving forward. I can speak to me specifically. For example, the DAPA office, one of the people in there actually used to work with the AOP program, and she has continued to refer people to me when she thought it was appropriate. And also now in there is one of the counselors that is working on the veteran services portion. I think it's just finding the niche, finding some of the other departments that are willing to be open to the collaboration. It's a work in progress. It's working with, again, there's administration changes everywhere on campus. So finding the way to, I guess, get us all on the same page and recognize that we are here for the students, and we wouldn't be here if there were no students.
Yeah. Have you noticed any new or emerging health trends among students in recent years? And just as a follow-up to that question, what can students do to stay healthy in today's environment?
I definitely have seen a trend more toward the mental health, and people almost forget about the physical health. Along with that, the students that are coming in now are, I'm not sure how they would take this, but they're being called the COVID kids. So they have had a very different experience even in high school than the rest of us may have had. Not all, but some have a limited ability for their independence and need a little more support than others may have before. In general, I'm just going to throw out there, it is cold and flu season, and it's no joke. I usually do this thing when I'm standing in front of people and hold my hands up and I say old time cold. And then you got, is on one end and COVID's on the other end, but they're all viruses. So virus in general, whether it's cold, flu, COVID, it's not anything the antibiotics work for. It's treating the symptoms. And it's huge to make sure you're hydrating yourself. Even if you're not hungry, even if you don't feel like eating, hydration is huge. If you have a fever, you're sweating fluids out. If you're losing fluids many ways. If you have GI virus, you potentially could be having diarrhea. Again, fluids, water, Gatorade, Pedialyte, whatever works for you. Those are just huge things to take into consideration, and very simple, easy things you can do, including washing your hands. I always say wash your hands before you prepare the food. Wash your hands, or even Purell if you don't have something, or a place to wash your hands before you put something in your pie hole. Because, if you're going to eat something and you were touching it and you might have touched something that somebody else had some germs, it sounds really basic and it sounds very simple, but believe it or not, there's lots of research to support, good hand hygiene, hydration, rest. Again, don't hesitate to reach out, whatever it is. Health counseling, we're here.
And just overall prioritize all types of health, whether it's mental or physical.
Yes.
Are there any other health services that you think are underutilized by students?
That's a good question, because I feel some have knowledge and others don't. So there could be any number of things. We do have a significant amount of information on our webpage, and I know people kind of shy away from web pages, but we have a lot of information there. We have a self-care center, for example, in the health center at Lauderdale, where you can go in, help yourself. It has and I'm not going to catch everything, but Tylenol, Benadryl, condoms, cough drops, a bunch of stuff like that. But also new this semester is we have a health vending machine that's in the College Union across from the mailroom. It's no cost. You can go and help yourself, but we like to encourage people, don't forget somebody else might need it. So don't totally take everything out of there, save some for other people. But there's even things in the vending machine like pregnancy test, COVID test. I believe we have the morning after pill in there as well. So, bandages, there's things like that, that we're kind of in the middle of nowhere. It's not like you can just walk to Walmart on a nice 19-degree day and go get stuff you might need if you happen to miss the bus round or something like that. There's probably a lot more other things that we do that are just not coming to my mind right now. One of my general spiels, no matter who you are, is I encourage people to put the general health services phone number in your contacts in your phone. And I'm just going to throw it out quick, 585-245-5736. And the reason that is, even after we close, that will roll over to a nurse line, and they can help you potentially determine, what's going on. Would it be appropriate for you to go to urgent care because it's a little more serious, or could you wait till we open again? The other one I encourage people to put in is the University Police Emergency Line, 585-245-5222, because they are 24/7. And the staff in student health and counseling, again, we're kind of set up like a primary office, so we kind of have to stay in our offices. But if you needed something and you were in your res hall, somebody fell, somebody's seizing, could be any number of things. Or if somebody broke in your car, whatever it is. If you needed an emergency to get a hold of University Police, from a health perspective, they can dispatch GFR. Yeah. And those that don't know what GFR is, it's Geneseo First Response, and it's a student-run ambulance crew that has jurisdiction on campus. Mm-hmm. And they're an awesome crew. I've been here 16 plus years. They've helped us on so many different things. They're great. They're trained. They're real, just like we are. Yeah. Licensed by the state, and we're all legit.
I was going to say, I think GFR, if you make a 911 call and it's on campus, GFR will be dispatched to that call. They're AED trained, CPR certified, all that stuff. Would you have any advice to give college students to take better care of their health while balancing the demands of college life?
I think a lot of it is try to get into a good routine. Don't skip meals. Hydrate all the time, not just when you're sick. Get rest when you can. And you may not even be aware of all the resources that are available, especially here at Geneseo. So don't hesitate to reach out and ask someone. Even if it's not myself, but I am obviously available. Don't hesitate to reach out to me as well. But even if you call the main health line, they can provide information. I think just in general, be kind to yourself. Be kind to others. Don't forget that we all may have things going on, and it's okay. Don't hesitate to ask.
Well, I think that just about covers it. Would you say?
I think we covered a lot.
Awesome. Thank you for listening to Geneseo Today. I'm your host, Carolyn, and today's special guest was Campus Community Resource Nurse Laura Evans. Tune in next time for more things Geneseo on WGSU 89.3, Geneseo's Voice of the Valley.
Thanks for listening to Geneseo Today. News and insight on issues in and around Geneseo. To learn more about this show or to suggest guests or topics, contact WGSU at geneseo.edu.